In a year of heartache and anger and grief, many have wondered where to find faith and hope. Michael Rudzena is the founding pastor of Good Shepherd, New York, a church like so many which has had to go all digital to connect with parishioners and shepherd a community searching for answers in a time when so much has been lost.
Early on, I thought about probably the shortest verse in the Bible, which is Jesus wept. But what I found in Jesus weeping was a hopeful way that it's actually okay to face the loss and to cry. And God's okay with that. And I think this is a time to be honest. And if that's grief, that's grief. If that's anger, that's anger. But we can have confidence that we'll get somewhere through that.
I feel like people want hope. They want real hope, something that they can hold on to. For you, what do you tell the people that are in your church and in your church community? Where should they find hope?
One of the earliest stories that sort of popped for me in the time of a pandemic relates to that, hope. And what I found is that here we have a moment in the story of Jesus where he is feeding the multitudes, right? It's like the famous feeding of the 5,000. And everyone's hungry, and it's at a scale that is beyond any one person's ability to do something about. And here the disciples come to Jesus and they're like, what do we do? And his question to them is, well, what do you have? And it turns out in that story, of course, they have a couple of loaves and some fish. And then there's this amazing miracle where everyone walks away with plenty left over. And I find myself asking the question right now in this time, like, what is right in front of me that I maybe haven't had eyes to see? What can I appreciate? What is a gift? And then how can I channel gratitude in that? How can I say thank you?
Well, there's two parts of it. It's so striking to me. It's what do I have? And then the next part is, and how can I share it?
Exactly. So it's having is one thing, and appreciating it, that's the first step. But then sharing it is where we get real joy. And I think I've been most hopeful as I've seen the generosity of people during a very dark time. And to me, that's what Christmas is all about.
This reminds me of your sermon on Sunday, which was about joy. But I think what you were saying to all of us in the church was, you don't feel that real joy without sometimes also feeling that sadness. Right. And that when we try to protect ourselves and keep everything even, yes, we think we've protected ourselves from pain, but we've also protected ourselves from joy. Did I catch that right?
I think of it like the human heart has one valve. It's either opening or closing. And a lot of the things that we do to protect ourselves are a tightening of that valve, a closing off of that valve. And I find like the openness required for joy, the openness required to love is also vulnerable. It means you can also let in things like fear, and it feels risky, and it can be dark at times. But open heart is the only way to live. I think that's what the Bible calls faith. Faith is the open heart.
And finally, just since you are a man of faith, what's a word of love that you have for people right now?
And I would love to offer a word of love, but when I think about our community, I think of things like the power of music. I mean, to me, that has been one of the clearest expressions of love to bless us with inspiration and to give language to our anger, to give language to our fear and our panic, but also to give us hope.
Well, a song is as good a word of love if I know.
Yeah.
Lord is gonna get us through.
Wow, that was beautiful.
That's actually some of the church choir, the church musicians. They call them the Good Shepherd Collective, and they do music, and it's absolutely gorgeous. And if you're looking for a church service on Christmas Eve, you can come to my church, Good Shepherd. I'll put a note about it online.
I just have to add on to that. I follow the Good Shepherd New York on Instagram, and that music collective is a collective of some of the best musicians I've ever seen. I encourage people, as the pastor talked about music being a way of healing, to follow them for some really incredible inspirational music.
And if you are feeling extra generous right in this moment, don't forget, guys, we do have a QR code on your screen so you can help people at Feeding America. They really need it this time of year.
Yeah.